The first thing I noticed when I woke up was the silence. No coffee maker humming, no shower running, no morning news playing in the background. Just emptiness that felt wrong in every possible way. "Jonas?" I called out, my voice echoing through our apartment. The sheets beside me were cold, untouched for hours. My name is Hayden, and this was the morning I discovered what betrayal truly feels like. I grabbed my phone. No messages. The closet door was slightly ajar, his side completely bare. My heart started racing as I rushed to check our shared office space. His laptop was gone along with all his files. "This can't be happening," I whispered, fumbling with my banking app. The loading circle seemed to spin forever before revealing the truth. Our joint account balance showed $212.46. Last week, it had been over $86,000. My hands shaking, I called Zuriel, my mentor from the women's investment group. "He's gone," I managed to say when she picked up. "Jonas cleared out everything." "Hayden, honey, where are you?" Zuriel's voice was steady, grounding. "At home. Our home. Well, I guess just my home now." I laughed bitterly, spotting the engagement ring I'd left on my nightstand. "He didn't even take the ring. Don't move, I'm coming over." 20 minutes later, Zuriel was at my door with coffee and her signature no-nonsense attitude. She took one look at me and pulled me into a hug. "Have you checked social media?" she asked, settling onto my couch. I shook my head but reached for my phone. There it was. A photo posted 3 hours ago. Jonas at some rooftop bar, his arm around a stunning redhead. The caption read, "New beginnings with Ruby." 6 years, I said, my voice cracking. 6 years of building a life together, and he posts this like we never existed. "Men like Jonas don't deserve your tears," Zuriel said, taking my phone away. "They deserve consequences." I looked up at her, something shifting inside me. "You're right. He thinks he can just walk away with our money, start a new life like nothing happened?" "What are you thinking?" I picked up the engagement ring, studying how it caught the morning light. "I'm thinking it's time to show Jonas exactly who he messed with. Remember that business proposal he kept talking about?" Zuriel's eyes widened. "The tech startup?" "Yeah, he always said he just needed the capital to make it happen." I set the ring down with newfound purpose. "Well, what if I become that capital? Anonymously, of course." "Hayden." Zuriel's tone held a warning. Not to help him, I clarified, a plan already forming. To destroy him. 2 weeks after Jonas left, I sat in Hope's elegant office with Nora and Zuriel, staring at a business proposal that made my blood boil. "You've got to be kidding me," Nora said, scrolling through her tablet. "He's actually pitching to the Women's Investment Coalition?" Hope leaned back in her chair, her silver hair gleaming in the afternoon light. "He doesn't know we're connected to you, Hayden. The proposal came through a third party." "Let me see that." I grabbed the tablet from Nora. There it was. Jonas's dream project laid out in pristine detail. The same one he'd discussed with me countless times over dinner. The same one we'd planned to build together. "He's requesting $2.5 million in seed funding," Zuriel pointed out. "Almost exactly what he took from your accounts, plus the extra he needs to launch." "Look at his partner list." Nora tapped the screen. "Ruby King, Chief Marketing Officer. Well, that explains where she came from." I felt sick. "She works in marketing. He met her at that conference in Denver last month. The one I paid for." Hope cleared her throat. Normally, I'd reject this immediately given the circumstances, but... She paused, studying my face. "The business plan is solid. The market research is comprehensive. It could be a good investment." "A good investment?" I stood up, pacing. "He stole my money, my future, and now he wants more?" "Or," Zuriel interjected, "this could be exactly what you need." I stopped pacing. "What do you mean?" "Think about it," she continued. "As major investors, we'd have significant control, access to everything." Nora's eyes lit up. "And he'd never suspect you're involved. The coalition always operates through proxies." "It's risky," Hope warned. Mixing business with personal vendettas rarely ends well. I picked up the proposal again, focusing on Jonas's smiling headshot. He always said the hardest part of business is finding the right investors. People who believe in you. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Well, I believe in him. I believe he's going to regret every single thing he did to me. Hayden. Hope's voice was gentle but firm. Are you sure about this? You know what he told me the night before he left? That I was too cautious, too afraid to take risks. I placed the proposal back on Hope's desk. Let's show him how wrong he was. I want to be the lead investor. Nora squeezed my hand. Whatever you need, we're with you. Then it's settled, Zuriel said, pulling out her laptop. Let's draft the terms. Make them generous enough that he can't refuse, but with enough fine print to give us complete control when the time comes. I nodded, feeling more alive than I had in weeks. Time to give Jonas exactly what he asked for. You're playing with fire, sis, Tyler said, cutting into his steak with more force than necessary. We were at our usual Friday night dinner spot, but tonight felt different. Tense. It's just business, I replied, swirling my wine. The coalition makes investments like this all the time. Right. And the fact that it's Jonas's company is just a coincidence? He set down his knife. I saw him yesterday, at that tech startup mixer downtown. My hand froze mid-sip. And? He was bragging about his mysterious angel investors, about how they're offering everything he needs. Tyler leaned forward. He looked happy, Hayden. Really happy. Good, I smiled. That's exactly what I want. Is it? Because it looks like you're orchestrating some elaborate revenge scheme instead of moving on with your life. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A message from Zuriel. Jonas signed all the paperwork. We're in. Speaking of business, I said, standing up. I need to make a call. Excuse me. In the restaurant's quiet hallway, I dialed Zuriel. It's done, she confirmed. He didn't even read the fine print about majority stakeholder rights. Perfect. When's the first board meeting? Next Tuesday. You'll be there as the coalition's junior representative. Hope arranged it. I ended the call to find Tyler standing behind me. You can't keep lying to yourself about this, he said. I know what he did was awful. Awful? I turned to face him. He stole everything, Tyler. Our savings, our future, my trust. And now you're letting him steal your peace of mind, too. Tyler's voice rose, drawing looks from passing servers. He lowered it again. You're better than this, Hayden. Maybe I don't want to be better. Maybe I want to be the person who shows him exactly what it feels like to lose everything. Then you're no different than he is. The words hit like a slap. I stepped back, grabbing my purse from our table. You don't understand. I understand that my sister is disappearing into someone I don't recognize. He caught my arm. Just be careful. Karma works both ways. I pulled away. Karma's exactly what I'm counting on. Walking out into the cool evening air, I checked my phone again. An email from Jonas to the board members outlined his vision for the company's future. His enthusiasm practically leaped off the screen. Enjoy it while it lasts, I whispered, forwarding the email to Zuriel. Tuesday couldn't come fast enough. Let him think everything was falling into place. The higher he climbed, the further he'd fall. But Tyler's words echoed in my mind. Karma works both ways. Ms. Clark? Jonas's assistant held the boardroom door open. They're ready for you. Walking into that room felt like stepping into a memory. Just 6 months ago, Jonas and I had been planning this company together over late-night takeout and endless cups of coffee. Before we fell in love, he'd said back then, I fell in love with your mind, the way you see business opportunities others miss. Now here he was, standing at the head of the table, looking perfectly polished in his navy suit. His smile faltered for a split second when he saw me. This is Hayden from the coalition. Hope introduced me smoothly. She'll be observing today's meeting. Jonas recovered quickly, extending his hand. Welcome aboard. I wasn't aware you were in venture capital. There's a lot you don't know about me, I replied, keeping my grip firm but professional. The meeting proceeded exactly as planned. Jonas presented his vision, his voice carrying that same passionate energy that had once convinced me to merge our savings accounts. The market potential is incredible, he explained, flipping through slides. With the coalition's backing, we could revolutionize the industry. Ruby sat beside him, nodding enthusiastically at every point. She wore the silver bracelet I'd once admired on Jonas's mother's wrist, a family heirloom he'd promised would be mine. What about risk management? I asked, watching him freeze at the sound of my voice. Your proposal seems optimistic about market penetration. I've run the numbers myself, he assured everyone. The risk is minimal. Like your last venture? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Jonas's eyes narrowed. I'm sorry? I've done my research, Mr. Harding. Your previous startup dissolved rather abruptly. The room grew quiet. Ruby looked confused. That was a different situation, Jonas said tightly. I've learned from past mistakes. Have you? I held his gaze. Because your pattern suggests otherwise. Hope cleared her throat. Perhaps we should take a brief recess. In the hallway, Zuriel pulled me aside. You're playing it too personal. Did you see him? I hissed, acting like everything's fine, like he didn't. Focus, Hayden. We're here to execute a plan, not settle a score. At least not yet. She was right. I took a deep breath, straightened my jacket, and walked back in. My apologies, Mr. Harding, I said as the meeting resumed. Please continue. Jonas launched back into his presentation, but I caught him watching me warily. Good. Let him wonder. Let him feel that creeping uncertainty I'd felt the morning he left. Because this was just the beginning. By the time I was done, he'd learned exactly what it meant to trust the wrong person. The cafe door chimed, and I nearly choked on my latte. Ruby walked in, her red hair impossible to miss. Of all the coffee shops in the city, she had to choose this one. Hayden? She spotted me before I could leave. From the coalition, right? Mind if I join you? The universe had a twisted sense of humor. Please. I gestured to the empty chair, my voice surprisingly steady. I'm so glad I ran into you, Ruby said, settling in. Jonas has been acting strange since that board meeting. I thought maybe you could help me understand the business side of things better. I gripped my cup tighter. Strange how? He's paranoid. Keeps checking his emails at midnight, talking about protecting his interests. She stirred her coffee absently. Last night, he was on the phone for hours with the lawyers. Smart man, I said, unable to resist. You never know who might be plotting against you. Ruby leaned forward. That's just it. He won't tell me what's wrong, but our latest investor report showed some concerning numbers. Of course it did. I'd made sure of that. The market can be unpredictable, I offered, watching her face fall. It's not just that. Someone's been leaking information about our development timeline delays. Our biggest potential client pulled out yesterday. I knew that too. One anonymous email about Jonas's history of missed deadlines was all it took. That must be stressful, I said, feeling a twist of something that might have been guilt. How are you handling it? Honestly? Ruby's eyes welled up. I'm scared. Jonas invested everything in this company. Our future depends on it. Our future. The words hit like a punch to the gut. He told me about his ex, Ruby continued, wiping her eyes. How she held him back, never understood his vision. I don't want to be like that. I almost laughed. Almost told her right there who I was, what Jonas had really done. Instead, I reached for my phone as it buzzed with a message from Zuriel. Stock price dropping. Time for phase 2? Listen, I said to Ruby, standing up. Be careful with Jonas. Sometimes people aren't what they seem. What do you mean? Just protect yourself and your assets. I walked out, leaving her looking confused and worried. Outside, I called Zuriel. Execute phase 2, I said. Release the audit findings. Hayden, are you sure? This will destroy their quarterly projections. I thought of Ruby's tears, of Jonas's lies about me holding him back. Do it. And Zuriel? Make it hurt. As I hung up, Tyler's words about karma echoed in my head. But it was too late to stop now. The dominoes were already falling, and Jonas's carefully constructed world was about to come crashing down. What the hell have you done? Tyler burst into my apartment, waving his phone. Have you seen the news? I was already watching it. Jonas's company's stock in freefall. Headlines screaming about financial irregularities and mismanagement. You did this, Tyler said, his voice shaking. The audit, the leaks, everything. He deserved it. Deserved it? Tyler grabbed the remote, turning up the volume. On screen, dozens of employees were leaving the office building, carrying boxes. Those people didn't deserve to lose their jobs. My phone rang. Nora. Turn on channel 7, she said when I answered. Ruby's giving a statement. I switched channels. There she was, looking devastated as reporters swarmed. I had no knowledge of any financial misconduct, Ruby was saying, her voice breaking. Jonas assured me everything was legitimate. I've already resigned as CMO and am cooperating fully with investigators. Hayden, Tyler grabbed my phone. End this now, before it gets worse. Worse? I laughed bitterly. He stole from me, lied to me, replaced me. And now you've become exactly like him, Tyler shouted. Look at yourself. You're destroying lives just to prove a point. My phone buzzed again. Jonas this time. I stared at his name on the screen. Answer it, Tyler urged. Stop this madness. I picked up. Hello, Jonas. It was you. His voice was raw. All this time you were behind the coalition's investment. Surprise. You've ruined everything. The company, my reputation. Ruby left me this morning. Now you know how it feels. I made a mistake, Hayden. I know that. But this is cruel. Cruel? My voice rose. You want to talk about cruel? How about waking up to empty accounts and an Instagram post of you with another woman? At least I only hurt you. He shot back. You've hurt dozens of innocent people, their families, their livelihoods. The line went dead. I looked up to see Tyler had disconnected the call. That's enough, he said firmly. You've made your point, but this ends now. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. Tyler grabbed my shoulders. Mom didn't raise us to be vindictive. She taught us to be better than those who hurt us. The mention of our mother, gone 3 years now, hit hard. She would have been so disappointed. What have I done? I whispered, the full weight of my actions finally sinking in. Tyler pulled me into a hug. The question is, what are you going to do now? Because this isn't over yet, and you need to decide who you really want to be. I pulled away, wiping my eyes. He was right. This had gone too far, but maybe there was still time to make it right. The coalition's emergency board meeting felt like a funeral. Hope sat at the head of the table, disappointment etched across her face. Jonas sat opposite me, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Before we begin, I said, standing up, I need to say something. Hayden, Zuriel warned, but I held up my hand. The truth is, I orchestrated this entire situation. I used the coalition to pursue a personal vendetta against Jonas. I turned to face the board members. You all trusted me, and I abused that trust. You think an apology fixes this? Jonas snapped. No. I pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. But this might help. Hope opened it, her eyebrows rising. This is a rescue plan. Yes, I'm offering to buy out the coalition's stake at a premium. The company can be restructured, jobs saved. I took a deep breath. And Jonas stays as CEO. The room erupted in whispers. Jonas stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Why would you do this? He asked. Because revenge didn't make me feel better, it made me worse. I met his eyes. But I have conditions. Of course you do. First, you repay every penny you took from our joint accounts. I slid another document forward. Second, you sign this agreement acknowledging the theft and accepting a repayment schedule. Jonas's jaw clenched. And if I refuse? Then I release the evidence of your original theft to the authorities. Your choice. The room fell silent. Jonas picked up the papers, reading carefully. The repayment terms are reasonable, Hope noted, and the rescue plan is solid. Jonas looked up at me. You could destroy me completely right now. Why aren't you? Because I'm choosing to be better than that. I thought of Tyler's words, of our mother's teachings. But make no mistake, this is your last chance. He nodded slowly, reached for a pen, and signed both documents. One more thing, I added, pulling out my old engagement ring. Give this to Ruby. Tell her the truth about everything. She deserves that much. Jonas took the ring, his hand trembling slightly. I really did love you, you know. I know, but love without respect isn't enough. After the meeting, Zuriel caught up with me in the parking lot. That was unexpected, she said. Was it the right thing to do? She smiled. I think it was the thing you needed to do. For yourself, not for him. I looked back at the building where my revenge plot had both succeeded and ended. I just hope those employees can keep their jobs. They will. Zuriel squeezed my shoulder. Sometimes the best revenge is showing someone who you really are. For the first time in months, I felt lighter. Free. Ready to write a new chapter. One without revenge at its heart. You're really doing this? Tyler asked, helping me carry boxes into my new office space. The Women's Business Mentorship Center, I said, setting down a box of supplies. Helping other women avoid the mistakes I made. And teaching them about financial independence? He grinned, referencing the center's main mission. Among other things. I hung up the framed business license as Nora walked in with coffee for everyone. First client's here, she announced. Want to guess who? Ruby stepped into the doorway, looking nervous but determined. Hi, Hayden. Ruby. I gestured for her to come in. I wasn't sure you'd actually show up. Jonas told me everything. She twisted her hands together. About the money, the lies, what you did, what you could have done but didn't. Tyler and Nora quietly slipped out, leaving us alone. I'm not proud of how I handled things, I admitted. No, but you fixed it. Ruby sat down. The company's recovering. People kept their jobs and Jonas... She paused. Jonas is finally facing consequences for his actions. That's why I'm here. Oh, I want to start my own marketing firm, but I need to learn how to protect myself, my assets. She smiled wryly. Thought you might be the perfect person to teach me. I walked over to my desk, pulled out a contract. As it happens, I have an opening for my first client. Before I sign, Ruby said, I need to know, are we okay? After everything? We're both survivors of the same storm, I replied. I'd say that makes us more than okay. As we went over the contract details, Tyler poked his head back in. Mom would be proud, he said softly. This is exactly what she would have done, turning pain into purpose. I thought about our mother, how she'd always said the true measure of a person isn't in how they handle success, but in how they rise from failure. My phone buzzed with a notification. Jonas's first repayment had cleared, but the money didn't matter anymore. What mattered was sitting across from Ruby, showing her how to build something of her own, something no one could take away. Ready to get started? I asked her. Ready. She picked up the pen. Show me everything. I opened my laptop, pulled up a fresh spreadsheet. This was what real power felt like. Not revenge or manipulation, but the ability to lift others up, to transform betrayal into wisdom. First lesson, I said. Let's talk about building something that lasts. Because that's what I was finally doing. Building something real. Something meaningful. Not out of vengeance, but out of hope. And this time I was doing it right.